Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another Sunday Enochian prayer service. It's good to see everyone here. We'll give everyone a few minutes to get logged in as usual. Has anybody had any results or anything from the last week or so? It's been a pretty crazy week, hasn't it? It's been kind of, when did it all start? On Monday? When people started messaging me saying that they'd gotten blocked from the group, or what happened to the group, or why I wasn't in the group. Oh, good. Somebody's gotten some results from one of the books and some good spirit communication, some good professional results. Excellent. That's what I like to hear. I like to see the stories of how people, of the success that people get. It's kind of what makes it all kind of worth it. It's nice paying the bills and everything's nice, but it's so much better to hear, how you're impacting people, how it helps. So good. I'm glad people are having good results in this. It's helping, and it's helping them on their path, and helping them in their life, and to get their life together. That's always awesome to hear. Oh yeah, big move. That's rough. I hate that. I don't ever want to move again. We did that twice last year, and oh God, I can't even. I do not want to ever go on have to move again. Oh, that's interesting. Someone saying that their dreams are being more vivid and they're remembering them more in the morning. That's cool. So, it looks like we've got a little bit more of the people than usual. So I guess people are here for the other stuff, the Monier stuff. We'll get to that after I get done. All the bleeding stopped. What was bleeding? I'm glad. I'm glad it stopped. I'm glad you're okay. God. Oh, looks like all kinds of people are getting requests. That's awesome. Not requests, results. That's awesome. For the tea, yeah. I guess that's what we're saying. What we call what they're saying these days. Okay, so let's go over the rules for the prayer request. As usual, only submit them whenever I say it's time. And then you're going to want to start your prayer request with the words prayer request. Make those two words the very first things on the thing, because I'm going to copy and paste. I'm not going to read anything. So I'm just going to see prayer request. I'm going to copy and paste it. And so if it doesn't say prayer request, it's not going to get copied and pasted. And then try to make them short. Try to make them specific. That's an important thing, because I don't want to. Don't get me wrong. I want to do as many as I can that are useful. But if you're just asking for something generic that's already covered in one of the prayers, then that just kind of bogs everything down and slows us up. So so be specific with your request. Don't just say I want some money, because we're praying for that already. We're praying for prosperity and for love, for healing. Now, if you have a specific healing need, then that's fine, of course. But or if you have a specific monetary need, then that's fine. But just don't give me the generic thing. I end up reading them, but it just kind of, we're at the end, and then I'm kind of trying to we're about to get into pathworking, and we're trying to keep things moving, because this can be a little bit of a slog for people at some points too. So we're trying to be respectful of everybody's time. that's the main thing. Oh, and don't repeat. Like, just write it once. If you screw it up or something, I mean, it's probably not going to get that screwed up. It's the idea and it's the intention that matters more than any words that I say. So, okay, let's go ahead and put in the prayer request. I'll take them for about 5 minutes or until people kind of stop. And then for the people that aren't usually here, I go kind of quiet here because I'm copying and pasting. So just bear with me as we get this part done. Like I said, I'll take the prayers for about 5 minutes. One thing I do want to mention, I don't know who all's here. It doesn't look like we have that many more people than usual. But if any of the haters are here, if you start being disruptive in the chat, I will moderate the chat. So I'd appreciate if everybody would stay civil. We've been really, really lucky so far. And for a while, I was, when we first started this, I was worried that we were going to have some kind of trollish behavior at some point. Just be it not even like occultists, but like, Christians who, like, not just Christians in general, but like smaller minded people who, don't get what we're doing or, and just want to disrupt it. I'm still taking requests. If you've got any more, go ahead and put them in. But yeah, we haven't actually had any of that, so it's been really nice. You guys have been a really great group. I really appreciate everyone and how everyone kind of, follows along and follows the rules, the guidelines that we set, not really rules. So pathworkings are basically like guided meditations, only usually with a magical intent rather than just kind of a general vibe. Attunements are energetic connections with the spirit. so that you can channel their energy directly. All right, we're going to go ahead and call that good for the prayer requests. Thank you all for participating. Oh, got one late one. Okay, that's it. I'm going to scroll away from the prayer request, so I'm not going to be able to copy anymore. Sorry. Okay, let's get this ball rolling. All right, got the ring, got the lemon, tables open. Let's take a moment, silence ourselves, and just kind of get recentered. Listen, all who can hear me. The Father is mysterious, everlasting, and transcendent. The Mother is here and is all things. All we can see and don't see, and we are the holy children, and together we are who create reality and have the privilege to experience and explore creation. Let us join together now as one in prayer and create a new world. We pray in the name of the Father, the Mother, and the holy children. Let our hearts become a holy temple and our minds a holy throne. Enter, God all-powerful, and dwell in the temple of our spirit. Let our thoughts be as immaculate light, and our gratitude become an unconquerable power. Ge lava, ge adua ayin ia ida, e accentasser ad anaromi, ge monans noan nisia ian, ge monan ni axia yal zimi ia iran, ad feans asia ian, agega, ge engelard noan alpirt, agi ekrin, no one ugeg mikals. A prayer for the Mother for divine authority and power. I will not call on the Mother for the divine authority to call on the angels. Galva, show yourself. Sink into me. Bring down the flaming temple of your seething loins upon my mighty sword. Be thou my drunken harlot. I inhabit your throne in heaven in the joy of God. Thunder understanding underneath me. Groan the secrets of holy mysteries in my mouth. Bring forth the philosopher's stone, and become my handmaid. Galva Zamran, Karboff Yal, Drix A Yalpor, Sia Ion de Ge, Urep de Max Nire, Ol Mikalze Napta, Bob Al Orspa, Babylon, or Zoderega, Ge Axia Yal, A, Madriax, Ola Mozad, Avavago Miketh, Oraka Ol, Hodo Ad La Yad, Deni Kiklius, Io Butman, Yokam Adar Anoan O Kirst. She who is the end, Mother of all, pray for us. Open the eye of our hearts, so that we can see the secret truth of the heavens, so we can see the face of the highest, so that we may become the most powerful. I pray that all confusion of our own power be destroyed. Open our eyes to the truth, that the spirit of man magnifies the spirit of God and is the Holy Spirit. We are the creator. We create creation. I am the Lord your God. I am what I am. Galva Axtentasa, Lava Lapge, Oda A Ua Anan, Agi Monons, Arget, Uran A Layad, Veowan, Di A Madriax, Arget, A Doa Ian, Di Yaida, Arget Noan A, Ia Iran, O Lava Tol Unke, Degi Mikala Zimram Kirasab, Odo Ge, Ua Ona, Tua Veowan, Aga de Kordzis, Ovaf, Aga di Iad, Arzir Kagamfai, Ge Zurda A Kaal, A Kaas Kayan, Zurida Gahoakma. United as one in prayer, we now ask for freedom from the impression of all curses and harmful spirits. This is a banishing for all curses and harmful spirits. So take a moment and feel how much you hate being cursed or being oppressed by a spirit as I perform the banishing, and transform that feeling into gratitude as though you are already free. I, Jareth Tempest, by my own name and by my own authority, banish all curses and evil spirits from all who hear my voice and desire liberation. Ol Arpan Tol Ama Atol Babylon Ga Tol Disolpath. In the name of Yia Edon, the all-powerful and Zilladar, who stretches forth and conquers, I banish all curses and evil spirits from all who hear my voice and desire liberation. Ol Arpan Tol Ama Atol Babylon Ga Tol Disolpath. In the name of Galva, Lady of the Apocalypse and Mother of all angels and abominations, I banish all curses and evil spirits from all who hear my voice and desire liberation. Ol Arpan Tolama Atol Babylon Ga Tolos Disolpath. I place all who are willing under my wing and my protection. I call upon the mercy of the kings of the four watchtowers, Bata Eva, king of the watchtower Exarp, Ra'agios, king of the watchtower Hakoma, Igza Heheka, king of the watchtower Nanta, and Edlaparna, king of the watchtower Bitom, to open their gates and send forth their legions, to set up a hedge of protection around everyone who is listening to my voice and who desires to be protected. Build an impenetrable fortress around us and keep us safe. Blans par de Sorpath, Yokam, Givi Patriarchs, De Blans, Blansgi. Now take a moment and feel your gratitude for being delivered. And take a moment to know that you are safe and protected. The first key. Filled with divine authority and free from the influence of harmful spirits, I will recite the first key to unlock the heavens, so we may summon the angels of the day to do our will. O Samvors Goho Iabal Langsh Kal Zomfro, Soba Zaal, Roar Eta Naspad, Gra'a Ta Mapir Dishol, Ka Nathoa Zimis Ad Kama Ta Noblen Zion, Soba Thir Gnap Perge Alde, Op Virbs Obele Gersam Karsan, Ohorele Kaba Pir Ad Zonregs, Kap Yadna, Pila Farms Zoza Adna Dis Gono, Iadpil Dis Hom, Ad Toa Soba Ipom, Louis Pomus Dis Loholo, Vet Zam Peomal, Ad Bakpa, Aai Tia, Piab Piamo, Iad Veowan, Zakare, Ka'a, Ad Zamran, Orokikle, Ka'a Zorge, Labzira Noko Mad Heof, Ia Iada. An invocation for all the angels of Sunday. In the name of Ia Edon and Yabis, on this day of the sun, I, Jareth Tempest, conjure you, all the angels of Sunday, Lord Sol, the illuminator, king of all the stars and begetter of vision, O Lord Sol, whose angels nurture and cause the herbs and the trees to bear fruit, who adorns the whole world with majesty, who banishes adversities in the darkness, Lord Sol, the embellishment of priceless things, the beauty and the majesty of pearls, gold, and all precious stones, the glory of kings and the thought of judges, I, Jareth Tempest, conjure you, all angels of this day, servants of Lord Sol, who is inconceivable, incomprehensible, who sees the powers of heavens and understands the splendors of Ya'ira. I conjure you, all the angels of this Sunday, luminous spirits of Lord Sol, the candle that burns before the dark and dreadful Zilladar. I am Jareth Tempest, and you will not disobey me, for I know who I am. I am the child of wisdom and the lover of Galva the mother, the end of all things. I remember that I am Gahoakma. I am what I am. I am Yido Ego, he that sits on the holy throne. I am Yia Edon, the all-powerful. I conjure you by the mysterious and powerful name of the outer circumference, Horwen, by the seventh who governs the seven, Hedim Hi-I-Si-Ai, by the archangel of the sphere, Raphael, by the archangel of the creation, Michael, by the unspeakable name of God, Oizir, by the daughter of light, Iana, by the son of light, Damal, by the daughter of the daughter, Izad, by the son of the sun, Liba, by the archangel of the sun, Semeliel, by the rulers of the Heptarchy, King Kamara and Prince Baganol, I conjure you, King Bobogel, magnificent king of the sun, and Prince Bornogo, ruler of the hour of Venus, Governor Bonifon, ruler of the hours of Mars, Governor Banafa, ruler of the hours of Jupiter, Governor Barigas, ruler of the hours of Mercury, Governor Buskanab, ruler of the hours of Saturn, and Governor Bablibo, ruler of the hours of Luna. And your above names and powers I conjure you, and all your angelic ministers. Grant your grace, power, virtue, and wisdom in all that we now ask. I, Jareth Tempest, do summon you all now and charge you to obey and to serve me, my wife, my loved ones, all my friends, students, clients, and all who hear these words, and everyone who calls on you in my name, and carry us all through life in a state of playful wonder and well-being. Let love, health, obedience, prosperity, success, belonging, victory, freedom, and everlasting joy flow forever into our lives. Be with us and bring success in all the works that we attempt this day, this week, and all the days of our lives. Turn back all foul fortune from us. Bring us only good fortune. Guide us where we need to be. Teach us what we need to know, and show us what we need to see. I seal this command with a word of power, Agla. A prayer to end all suffering. We cry aloud for all who weep. Those whose bodies are in torment, they are healed. Those whose thoughts are confounded, their minds find peace. Those whose lives are lamentation, they are comforted. The lonely find love, and the defaced find beauty. Where there is war, we demand peace. Where there are empty mouths, we demand a rich harvest. Where people are poor, we demand gold. Where there is wrath and torment, we demand deliverance and justice for the wicked. Where the wicked reign, we demand righteousness. We don't humbly pray for this, we demand it. Not in time, but this day. We are the holy children. We are God. We are the mother, and we speak with the speech of God. We open our mouths, and we create heaven out of torment. We invoke all the holy servants of God from all the heavens to create a kingdom of love, a kingdom of peace, a kingdom of joy. We demand the kingdom of heaven this day, so that all weeping is only a memory by this night. Ge bahal noan tos de raklir, soba kiniliman noan gemir, par noan kakam, soba angular noan unki, par mana noan intharzi, par soba apila noan iofan, par noan blioria, asaga momans raklir noan bliorga, ad tanwug, noan turbs, ku ian atrian saf ad naspad, gefifis and tharze, ku ian datria, alpha butman gafifis los azi gier, ku ian pleasing noan raklir, alpha limlau, gefifis ad kal, ku ian datrian, zamfro ad mir gefifis zonrezig, ad balt noan a Babylon, ku ian Babylon, bagpa gefifis balto, ge ip zura lava noan oi, gefifis, ip capimeo, oi buskim, di ad nen rome, ge noan iad, we noan exentasa, ad ge kamalax au laugeth, ge orobutman ad kaas madriax gat amir, ge argetko tol nen kaad, de iad o tol madriax, de kaas lando de bliorga, lando de entharze, lando de mars, gefifes a lando de madriax oi bustam, ad la clear, pop noir, oi virk. We now pray for the dead. We now remember those who have come before us, and we pray for their souls, that they find their way to the place of peace and healing in the next world. Feel your desire for your ancestors to help the lost and unhealthy dead, or anyone who has recently died. Then, as we pray, turn it into gratitude as though you've already received 1,000 blessings from your ancestor. We look back on our ancestral bloodlines and call to those ancient ones who shine with wisdom and love. We honor you, we praise you, and we pray that you work in healing the dead in torment. We also pray you look for all in our bloodlines and light their walk to your home. Shelter the dead in peace and heal their hearts. We praise you, O wise ancestors. We think of you and we sing your praises. We also humbly pray you shine your wisdom and light on all of our works. Get dorfa de teloa, kinila ad adget, desoiga teloa dis loholo miketh, ad bliorga, get ia iazrix nonke, gior crimi nonke, ad lava nonke veol, get kakam ad ga gimir, get lava nonke dorfa, tol get gia teloa, kinila opirit oi insi disalman, blonza teloa ge darzi ad parge, ad kakam, oi manans ge, oi crimi nonke, ke sorge teloa, ge angular nonke ad gen oi crimi, ge zur lava nonke loholo miketh, ad opirit kato ge concibra. A prayer for reconciliation with the world. We pray for the soul of the world and for her daughters and sons. We repent of destroying her children and despoiling her treasure and making her diminish. Open our eyes so that we can see our spirit community. Open our ears so that we can hear their weeping. Open our hearts so that we can all flourish together. We pray to hear their wisdom and to act on it. Ge lava age ka'a ad to til pasabs od no. Ge mua ge pudzar til noromi ad irasid. Til limla ad olun. Til pudzar odo ge u aana. De uan kafafam. Off zorge ga. Odo de solpath oi raklir. Odo gemonans oi ge to kakam. Ge lava solpath oi mikath ad sorte. A prayer for health and healing. In the name of he that lives in supreme life, I invoke the she who is the end. We sing praise to your glory. I pray to you for the health of all who listen to my voice and all of their loved ones. Let your face be friendly and shine healing on us. Repent our death. Hearken our groans and lamentations. I call on the holy servants of the sun to deliver us from torment, and let us flourish everlasting. Ga'adua yin, de iapil, ad iabis, ol argetko galva, ge o crimi, ge gi bustir, o lava, de gi lap, a kiniliman kakam de tols de sopath, diobia ad momanfathen, bob, odoan, zorge ad loholo ke ge, mua, ge telak, toatar, ge ugege, ad iafan, ol arget atol nen no kaad, de avrard zonregs gemir, trion kakam go ahead. A prayer for pleasure and prosperity. By the name of the highest and the name of the all-powerful, I invoke the mother of all, will praise your mighty beauty and power. I call on all the holy servants of the sun, that I and all who listen and pray are lifted upon the pillar of gladness, and crown us a garland of gold. Girdle us in treasure, and pour down glory and triumph upon us. Grant us a harvest of pleasure and joy. Ga'a dua yin, ia iara, ad ia idam, ol argetko exentasor galva, ge o crimi nonke conset turbs ad, launch. Ol arget atol ne nakaad de, arvor na ol, tol de solpeth, de lava, ziram farms mirk al nazarth, ge momar, ge obelik, de adkal, atraa, ger ge limlal, ad pampir, bustir ad homto mirk di, deluga ge azigiar, de kirsahi ad mad. A prayer for love and belonging. I invoke she who is the end, mother of the world. I pray for all of you who can hear my voice, that all of you who hear my voice are loved and have someone to love. In her powerful name, I call on all the holy servants of the sun to cast out your loneliness and binding it for time everlasting. I pray that the true love of your life manifests. I pray that no scorpion separates you. I pray the two become one. I pray all of you find belonging among loving people. O argetko galva extentasur, O lava laptol ge de sopath de ol bia trion bliorga, a brin molap, de bliorga, a til mikalzo du ayin. Ol arget aton nen aquad, de aurora de arpan gasaga moments danse, alor lap capi meo go head. Ad o lava ge voan bliorga kada, O lava ag siatris tilia nonke, O pre polo polo, O lava lapto noan kafafan, eof zorged o log. A prayer for justice. Highest God, measureless light, creator of all things, life supreme, he that lives and he that lives forever, the just one, bring forth justice to the government. Cast down the harlots from their thrones and lift up the servant. Give everything to the righteous. Cast down the powerful to hellfire and crown a kingdom of justice. Ia ida moafis, o pirt ka'al a tafglo, iabis iapil iada, o iad. Yolkam ba de na ta'al, adpan a Babylon par axia yal farms anoko. Deluga tafglo dia balit. Arpana Mikalas de Donas Dog Amastastitos, Momor Lundo Diabalit. I will now read your intentions. For RM to receive €1,000 by the end of the month, Iat Fifis Gagil. For SWD, for healing for their back, Iat Fifis Gagil. For the SB be reconciled and happily married to her love, KA. They're blessed with €200,000. She received financial justice and health on all levels and have all of her desires manifested easily. Iat Fifis Gagil. For MV, that their rituals continue to gain strength and momentum, and they continue to manifest quickly. Iat Fifis Gagil. For JFS, that they become a professional working actor in film and television over the unfolding year. From September 2024 to August 2025, Iat Fifis Gagil. For Roxanne, that their son auditions well and gets in a top lab band this semester. Iat Fifis Gagil. For BC1, that T quickly find a well-paying job. Iat Fifis Gagil. For RR, that they no longer have shortness of breath or back pain, that their health issues disappear safely, immediately, and permanently. Iat Fifis Gagil. For GK, to empower their rituals and to grant them authority over Enochian magic. Iat Fifis Gagil. For DN, to pass the land law exam. For LA, to contact them and to receive money for a holiday. Iat Fifis Gagil. For SD, for KA and SD to be married. For SD and KA, that they always get money, to have a house in the woods and to be happy and healthy with SD, grow in all ways, to have children and grow old together. Iat Fifis Gagil. For R, for harmony in their life, guidance from spirit, stronger vitality, organizational skills, protection for their family, an upgraded circle and magical practices, and strong health. Iat Fifis Gagil. For LC, for a fair, swift, and peaceful resolution to their problems with RPS. Iat Fifis Gagil. For AW, for $6,000 by August 30th. Iat Fifis Gagil. For A of the W, to develop their understanding of the runes. For their ankle, to return to fitness and to lose 10 pounds. Iat Fifis Gagil. For MK, to heal their ear infection and other issues with their ears. Iat Fifis Gagil. For MSK TV, for consistent success and income for their church, for grounded spiritual knowledge and communication, for quick career acquirement for their wife and continued blessings in all things. Eod Fifis Gagil. For TTN, to help them find a suitable combination for their living situation and their spiritual practice. Eod Fifis Gagil. For DD, to find the perfect flat for them at a very affordable price. Eod Fifis Gagil. For A, for their friend Jay transitioning peaceful and his loved one's healing. Eod Fifis Gagil. For MB28618, for A, to help with life relationships. Eod Fifis Gagil. For S3, to get a full-time job in UWI this year. Eod Fifis Gagil. For JT, for P to pay back taxes and to have at least 10 new clients this August. Eod Fifis Gagil. For GJC, for daily communication with their HGA, clearly heard. Eod Fifis Gagil. For DV, for good health for them, their family, for them and their family to have to win all court cases and to get all the money that they are entitled to. Eod Fifis Gagil. For KO, to hope for their son to stay clean from drugs. Eod Fifis Gagil. For KKB, to have inspiration and motivation to create a good life, to do more magic, and to earn the amount of money that is comfortable for them. Eod Fifis Gagil. For SD, to get the state job they applied for. Eod Fifis Gagil. For CS, for protection in the neighborhood and protection for the community. Eod Fifis Gagil. For GL, that both kids have the best school year. Eod Fifis Gagil. For DT USA, for their mother to get the job that they desire. Eod Fifis Gagil. For SAM, for more subscribers to their channel and memberships to their site and ministry. Eod Fifis Gagil. For A, for healing for their friend D and for their health crisis. Eod Fifis Gagil. For SK, for blessings in their psychic protection efforts against deliberate psychic attacks. Eod Fifis Gagil. For LKA, for someone to receive an apology from R and for them to make amends financially to all three of them. Eod Fifis Gagil. For SA, to increase financial abilities and to attract good luck. Eod Fifis Gagil. For JT, for P to pay back taxes and to have at least 10 new clients this August. Eod Fifis Gagil. For PS, to be employed in a well-paid, high-prestigious job or freelance work within a month's time by the end of September 2024. Eod Fifis Gagil. For D of the W, to not be upset about losing emotional and mental well-being and greater magical abilities and power. Eod Fifis Gagil. For TZ, for T to excel in her job successfully handling tasks, ensuring smoothing bookings and error-free reservations. May she be full of mental focus and energy to be best in her job. Eod Fifis Gagil. For QR, for AQHB to earn more money from her work to cover bills. Eod Fifis Gagil. For SGI 3, for smooth transition of trading in their car for a car that they love even more, getting the assistance that they need at work. Eod Fifis Gagil. For LL, money to buy new cars, the one that they have gets waterlogged when it rains, and a new international job. Eod Fifis Gagil. For LS, to get AB specialist position in their own company, if it's better than their position at the post office. Eod Fifis Gagil. For T, that their father receives large flowing wealth through his business. Eod Fifis Gagil. For IN, that the projects that they conceive and execute be successful. Eod Fifis Gagil. For JT, that's the same one again, dude. For JS, miracles and financial freedom, financial wealth and prosperity and good luck. Eod Fifis Gagil. For RD, to totally reverse their macular degeneration eye issues and to have perfect 20/20 vision. Eod Fifis Gagil. For KOO, that they stop their procrastinating behavior. Yat Fifis Gagil. For JJ, to manifest what they want in life and not what they don't want, the magical ability to get that right. Yat Fifis Gagil. For TV, that their hearing be restored and have increased stamina and energy levels. For SGV 333, the assistance that they need for business to get back on the map and expanding with new, creative, and innovative ideas. Yad Fifis Gagil. And finally, we pray for all of those unspoken desires that we hold in our hearts. Take a moment and feel the desire for what you want. Now state it, either out loud or in your mind, and then transform your desire into gratitude as though you've already received it. Lord, answer our prayers. Yad Fifis Gagil. We sing praises to your name. Ge oakrime degi duayan. And now we will do the pathworking. And for those that are new, all you're going to do is you're going to just close your eyes and imagine as I read. Just try to make the things that I'm reading as real for yourself as you can. This is Path 13 of the Path 13, the first path of harmony, the path of grounding for physical protection. Close your eyes and imagine yourself walking out your door. Imagine that you begin to walk north. There is a lush forest there. Walk through the forest. Marvel at the tall trees. We now begin to climb upwards, and the trees of the forest thin. We climb a high mountain. At the top, we see many more magnificent peaks around us. We climb down the mountain now, down into a rocky valley. And as we continue to walk, we find ourselves in a desert. The sky is dark, but full of stars. The Milky Way is brilliant. We stand in the desert, or we walk into the desert, knowing that we are leaving all life behind us and that we are nearing the end of the world. Finally, at the edge of a great chasm, stands the angelic Watchtower of Earth. It is tall and made of black stone. Hold the image of the black Watchtower of Earth as I say. May we enter and safely pass through this black Watchtower of Earth. May we successfully traverse the first path of harmony, the path of grounding. May we obtain success in this initiation, thus gain physical protection. We approach closer to the watchtower, and we see the black tourmaline gate, its doors closed. Standing before the doors is the angelic guardian, Masal. He is a graceful, masculine angel with large wings. He wears an indigo robe. He holds a large quartz crystal, through which you can see the secret workings of the universe. Try and hold this image as your mind as I say, O Masal, I call to thee, come and open for me the black tourmaline gate of the Watchtower of the Earth, which you guard. I ask to gain entry by the threefold secret holy name, Mor Dial Hectaga. I open the gate with the key of earth. Sa pa zimii du e vead noas ta ka anis adrak dorfa ka asig ad feans periposo tablior kasarum amipzi na zarth off ad duluga zizab zer lida kesoge tol torg ad zekis siask la ta vi u ad iad fil dis peral hubar p o al soba kumfa kis ta la vis a ka ko kasab kanils ad darbs ka as feth arze ad bliora ia ial ed nas kiklis bagdad ge iad el. Masal walks up to you. A light shines about him. The light shines into you, penetrating you completely as he embraces you. He says, I am the angel of earth. I am the angel Masal. I am the guardian of the black tourmaline gate. Enter the Watchtower of Earth. The black tourmaline gate opens. As you approach the gate, there is writing above it. Woe be unto the world, for she hath appeared before the Lord impure. Walk through the gate into the Watchtower of the Earth. The floor and the walls are made of black stone. You feel the power of the earth moving through the stones. Fertility, stability, all the powers of nature. You feel the weight of the past, of all human and angelic history. You feel the dead and your ancestors. I will repeat the threefold secret name for protection. Mor Dial Hectiga. Mor Dial Hectiga. Mor Dial Hectiga. We now come to a stairway leading up. Before it stands another angel. They are androgynous and wear a scarlet robe. They hold a ram's horn that bestows harmony. You can feel powerful energy coming from them, penetrating you and filling you. He says, I am the cherub of earth. I am the cherub Iaom. I am the guardian of the Kunzite stairway. They embrace you, and again you feel their light shine through you. They say, throughout eternity, I manifest myself from earth to water within earth. Read the words written above the stairway and rise up through the Watchtower of Earth. You begin to climb the 12 steps. As you read the words, and hitherto I will deal with thee, that the least thing which thou hast bestowed in obedience toward me shall not be forgotten. At the top of the stairs, you enter the floor of water within earth and see a stone fountain. The air is cool and damp like a cave. You see a second staircase. The words above the staircase say, human policy cannot prevail here. As many as are not faithful in these regions shall die a most miserable death, and shall drink of sleep everlasting. We now climb the second stairway. At the top of the stairs is another angel. They are androgynous and wear a pink robe. You feel power emanating from them that brings inner harmony. Unafraid, approach them. They embrace you. You feel that they are bringing you closer to who you want to be. They say, I am Spemnir, they who increase knowledge. I am an angel of the cross of earth. I bear the cross of earth from water to air within earth. The floor of air within earth is dry with a cool breeze. You see another stairway. Above this one is written, lift up yourselves and behold the heavens, and look upon the earth and muse at her wonders, and let not the lesser part carry away the greater. Climb the stairway. It is cool and dry and smells of musk. You now step out into the tier of fire within earth. You see two majestic nude angels, the king of the Watchtower of Earth, Igzaheheka, and the goddess of the Watchtower of Earth, Hezkika. If you identify as male, stand before the king. If you identify as female, stand before the goddess. Listen to their descriptions and try to visualize them both. They are dark-skinned. They emulate power. Their nature is to make things remain as they are. You sense they like to give things names and define them. Their presence fills you with a sense of identity and clarifies memories of the past. King Igzaheheka wears a black crown on his dark head and holds a black pentacle in his left hand. The goddess Hezkika wears a golden tiara on a head covered in black hair. She holds a black pentacle in her right hand and a flower bud in her left. You now embrace the king or goddess. Feel yourself melt into them and transform into them. Again, if you are King Igzaheheka, you are a beautiful, strong, dark-skinned man with a black crown and a black pentacle in your left hand. And if you are the goddess, Hezkika, you are beautiful with dark skin and black hair, and hold a black pentacle in your right hand and the unopened bud of a flower in your left. Now continue to imagine that you are the king or goddess and turn towards your consort, who now faces you in the nude. Imagine you say, I am the good angel of man. I am the external center of the soul. I do carry with me the internal character of the thing whereof one seeks to be a dignifier. Within lies a great secret, the conjunction and separation of proportion of their times, between the soul and the body of man. Happy therefore is the soul who beholds the glory of his dignification, and is partaker of him that is his keeper. May this be known unto men, so the thickness of the earth cannot hinder their speeches, nor the darkness of the lowest air obscure, or make dark the sharpness of their eye. May this character be made manifest in me. Now smile at each other as though you are in love. Slowly move towards each other and embrace. And as I say the word Nanta, merge God, King, and Goddess of Earth together, as you also try to hold the image of the black stone watchtower around you. Nanta, Nanta, Nanta. Continue to hold the image as I read. Thus has truth vanquished darkness. Even so I shall vanquish the world in the name of the spirit of power and truth. Thus I am sworn. But I cease for days to come, for they are delivered. But let them be therefore to me as days of repentance. For the end of 40 days must come, and this doctrine shall be written to all nations, even to the end of the world. The grain is yet the earth, and is newly consented with the earth. But when it springs and bears seed, the number shall be the last. A light builds within you. It continues to build. It builds and builds, as do the feelings of power flowing through you. Suddenly the light grows so bright that you are blinded. A moment passes, and you are yourself again, standing outside the angelic Watchtower of Earth. Turn now towards the desert and walk back to yourself. A prayer for union with the divine. While we thank you, Karanzam, for the blessing and wonders of ourselves, may we see the truth. We pray for divine knowledge. Fill us with wisdom. Open our minds, hearts, and eyes, so we can understand that we are not poor wretches, but we are the holy children of the Holy Mother. Help us to understand that we are one with the Mother, as she is one with the Father. And as they are one, so were we all one. Ge oekrimi koronzam lapa obele tolia. Arget ge uran veoan. Ge lava lap yadna. Deluga ananael. Oro ge manans. Uanan. Ar ge ge ipam apakama. Krip no one ne kurziz di ad extentasa. Deluga oma ge no one saga. E oxentasa ka pi no one a yad. No me polo saga, no one saga. The closing prayer. We praise all you holy servants of God. We praise you, Mother of the world. We praise you, God Most High. Let us, holy children, go forth in love and power to speak the speech of God into creation and create a kingdom of heaven. Ge oekrimi tol, ne quad, de a iad, ge oekrimi nonke exentaser, ge oekrimi ia iada, trion ge ne neurome, tustax ge bliorga ad vohim, de comliax au laugeth, ge ge ka ad kaas lando de magiax. In the name of the Father, the Mother, and the Holy Children. Ga adua ayen, iada, a oxentaser ad ne neurome, paid. All right. I feel like that went pretty well this time. Oh. All right. Usually at this point, I would be, I would kind of just open things up for conversation and Q and A. But as I said, I wanted to tell you guys my story of Monier and my experience with him and about our relationship and how that transpired and how it went. yeah, thank all of you guys for being here and for being here. And if you don't want to hear this part of it, feel free to go. Um, and if you but if you do want to stay, then and hear this, then that's fine. And appreciate you for listening. It's been kind of a long time coming, and because it's just been there's been a lot of, let's call it, say, controversy after his death, and um, I didn't want to add to that, and so I kind of went along with just, hey, yeah, I was a great guy, and everything was great, and we're all going to miss him, and I would have been happy to leave it at that, but people wouldn't leave it alone, and it became very ugly, but we'll get into all of that, but because of that, I never felt comfortable being honest about what everything happened, and I'm not good at keeping secrets, and my whole life is dedicated towards like the truth and being truthful and honest, and um, I can't live with just holding in, and this lie is, and so it's been kind of, and that's why, like, I'll see posts, and you'll see these posts where I go off on certain things, and it seems like I'm making a much bigger deal out of something than probably should be, and it's usually because this is what I want to talk about, and it wants to come out, and I can't, and I'm just not letting it out. Um, so a couple of you asking, who is this guy Monier, and I'll get into more of that, but he was another magician that was in our community, and he was very popular, and but he was also the center of a lot of drama, and he died, I believe, last October, and suddenly and very young, and it caused a huge disruption in the community, and so that's what we're going to talk about, and that's who we're talking about. But before we go on, I was kind of cover. It looks like you guys had a really good experience with the pathworking and a lot of energy and stuff. So that's awesome. That's what I want. That's like what I want to hear. So the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to have like certain sections. I've got this broke down into like bullet points so I can keep on track. And kind of as I get to an end of a little section, I'll answer any questions that you guys have. So if you have any questions as I'm going along, you can go ahead and type them in, and I'll stop at certain points to answer the questions. So, but before I get into exactly what happened, I want to talk about, like, kind of set the stage. Um, when I first joined this community in these groups, I I had recently discovered the Gallery of Magic, and and I noticed that Facebook had recommended like these groups, and there were several, not several. There were, I think, at the time there were three um, groups concerning the Gallery of Magic, and that was um, the Gallery of Magic Study Group, the Loyal Friends of the Gallery of Magic, and the Gallery of Magic Discussions and Experimentations, or Experiments. All of a sudden, my mind cannot remember if it's experiments, experimentations, or how. And I was in that group for so long, an admin, and it's so fucked up. I can't remember that. Um, so I joined all three, but the one that I actually spent all my time in was the Gallery of Magic Study Group, and I would make, as I got more involved in the thing, I started making group rituals that were very popular, and I got more popular than I think I even realized. But I was spending most of my time in that group, and then and a little bit more in the Loyal Friends group, but not very much in the discussions group. The discussions group came across to me as being much more, people there seemed to know more. It was like the more intelligent, theoretical group, and I just felt more comfortable in the study group. But then the study group that leader kind of went off the rails. He gave himself some very long esoteric name, and just kind of got super conspiratorial, and the group kind of just withered and died. So I moved more of my stuff into the Loyal Friends group. And then what happened with the Loyal Friends group is they had a secret class for, not a secret class, but a class just for very select people that they would pick. And I joined just right as this was blowing up. But that it turned out that the guy that was running that class was like a psychic vampire and was vampirizing the students. And it was a really bad scene, and it was all really dark magic. It was like super, super dark. And then this person shows up in the group, and I think that their name initially was Alex Wheat. I don't know. It was either Alex or Alexa, because they changed it at a certain point. And they made this big proclamation that they've saved the group from this person and validated his magic, and that they are from the Gallery of Magic, and they're here to save everyone. And everyone in the group was like, yay, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. And then about a week later, they were like, no, I'm not in the Gallery of Magic. I'm in the White Brotherhood. I never said I was in the gallery. You people are crazy if you think I said that. And I was like, wait a minute, but you did. And I totally remember you saying that. And then things started getting weirder. It was Alexa, and they turned to Alex. Thanks. Okay. So, I don't have a Pinnacle course, guys. I'm sorry. So after that, like, they brought another moderator on, and she kind of took over everything almost. And just the group got super. They started focusing on demons more and more, which was fine. I don't. It was just, but they started looking down on the angel people, and then they started bragging about all of the cursing they were doing, and how they were giving people cancer, and they were doing all these horrible things, and they were cursing people for the smallest thing. Like, my boyfriend didn't pay enough attention to me today, so I cursed him. And they were bragging about it, and everyone was like, yeah, you go, that's your divine right and your power. And it was like they were just taking things all so too far. And but then, like, they came out and, like, yeah, Alexa Wheat turned into Alex Wheat, changed genders, and then they made this big reveal that they're part of this Order of the Dark Arts, and that's run by Lucifer himself, and they are going to induct people into the group. And if they do things, and then, like, so the leader of the group totally fell for this stick, and she paid for, like, them to publish their book, and just took on all the financial burdens of it all. And people were telling stories about, like, demons were fully manifesting and then using their Facebook accounts and talking like surfer dudes. And then other people were talking about demons coming into full manifestation and having sex with them, and they were writing all of their sex stories in the group. And it lost. And the Gallery of Magic on their Facebook or website, maybe both, said, like, yeah, man, we don't know nothing about these people. We don't think that you can have demons manifest fully and get on Facebook. That's just kind of crazy. And so the Loyal Friends disavowed the Gallery of Magic altogether. And just a bunch of people left. And then they made this big proclamation that anyone who left was going to have a death curse on them. So people panicked. And everyone was going to that hadn't bought their crap was going over to the Gallery of Magic discussion and experiments group, because the study group was gone by this point. And a huge war broke out. People were, like, cursing each other, and it was a bad scene. And but it was more than people were calling people's employers and telling them about it and getting people fired. People were suing each other. People called the FBI on each other. It was big, and it was ugly, and it was crazy. And ultimately, they fell apart. The leader of that group kind of realized that she was being taken advantage of, and that there really was no Order of the Dark Arts. It was all made up, and she made a big statement about it, and she kicked all of them out. And they went and formed their own little group. So if you ever see anything called the Order of the Dark Arts, stay the fuck away from them, because they are horrible people that just want to take your money and drain you of your energy. The vampires and liars and scam artists. So after the dust settled from that, we kind of had a moment of kind of calm and peace. And that's when Tristan started trying to reverse engineer the Gallery of Magic stuff and had some big breakthroughs. And around that, and then shortly after that, like within a couple of weeks, that's when I figured out the pathworking with Raziel. And so both of us just kind of exploded in innovation at the same time. And we're feeding off each other. And we were competing with each other, but in like a friendly way. Of like, oh man, he figured that out. But I got to one up him, and it was like, yeah, it was fun, it was cool, and it was friendly, and we were all friends, and it was nice. And so then I put my book out, and then he put his book out, and then other people started having innovations, and they were putting their books out, and it was a really fun time. And the group kind of flourished there for after that big war. And I guess we had about a year and a half of things were really moving, man. Things like I had like 2 books out. Tristan was just like cranking books out, and then we had other people were putting stuff out, and there was some other little minor conflicts here and there. Yeah, there's still people out there and this is so the reason I even bring up this whole Order of the Dark Arts thing when I'm talking about Monir, because Monir has zero connection to them. Don't ever get me wrong, I'm not trying to connect them, but it sets the stage. At least that was a big thing for me to see a group suddenly become a cult, because that's absolutely what it was. They were a cult, and cults take many different forms. But the main thing is they were controlling. And if you didn't do what they wanted you to do, they would threaten you and they would curse you. And it's bad. And it was all for money and control. And again, they were vampires trying to suck that energy out of people. And we never wanted to see that again. And we were all of the, not just the admins and mods of the group, but a lot of the people were highly suspicious of any kind of cult-like behavior showing up in these groups again. And so while we were all there and the things were great and we were having fun and we were having all these innovations, we were constantly smashing anything that began to reek of cult. And then one day, this guy shows up, and his name's Monier, and he came in with a big splash, and he was incredibly fun and enthusiastic and charismatic, and he had such knowledge, and he started sharing. Like initially, he was sharing, I think they're called Camillas. I forget the name of it. Basically, like little talisman things, like in the Gallery of Magic group, and like the things in books, and you would scan them. Camilla, and you would scan them and then say some Hebrew words or they might be in Greek. And the guy, and he was sharing those, and that was really popular, and people loved it. And then he had like this story where he comes from a long line of magicians in this magical family that goes back 4,000 years to ancient Egypt, and then in the Egyptian Orthodox Church, they have a tradition of every family has like it's kind of like a family deacon, but like that, but they're more of like the family magician, but it's like an official position or an official, unofficial position in the church and family. And he was that for his family. But at the same time, he had also kind of become estranged from his family mainly because of his father, but also, he was releasing these secrets that were supposed to stay secret. That was his story, and it definitely caught people's attention. But what it also did was shot up some red flags. Again, like in the mods, we were all like very suspicious, and I think I was the first one. And I went to Arnold and I was like, "Hey man, like there's this guy posting and he's got this wild story um, and he's got this." And Arnold was like, "I've talked to him. He's legit. He's really nice. You should talk to him and get to know him." And I was like, "Okay, I'll trust you and take your word for it." And then so I did, and I talked to him, and we talked on the phone, and he was very he was so nice, and you couldn't help but love him. He was just the nicest, sweetest guy, and just so enthusiastic, and his love of magic was palpable. I mean, and that's what I love. I love magic more than like anything. Probably like the only thing I probably love more than magic is my wife, and and he was in a similar, and like that was really cool to meet someone else that had that. Um, I don't believe in karma, so there's that. Not in the way that most people do, anyway. Anyway, sorry, that's just commenting someone's comment there. Um, so shortly after, though, he made a big post about like cursing people and how much he enjoyed cursing people. And Arnold was like, "Whoa, now that's a red flag for me." And by that point, I'm like, "No, no, it's okay. I mean, yeah, he likes to curse, but he comes from a different tradition. He lives in Mexico. He comes from that. He's part of. He's. It's not just. He's also works with some Santeria and all of that stuff." And we're like, "Okay, okay." And so I calm him down. And then some time goes by, and then our other mod, Gene, pops up, and he's like, um, uh, "Hey, man, there's this guy in the group." Because Gene didn't pay much attention. He still doesn't. He doesn't pay much attention to the group, so he was a little slow to catching on. He's like, "There's this guy in the group, and he's talking about cursing and doing stuff. And he's got this big story, and I don't know if we can trust him." And by that point, we're like, "Yeah, yeah, that's Monier. We know it's okay." But it's interesting looking back that all three of us had that initial, "Whoa, what is this? This isn't right" feeling when he first came on. Um, so I guess now we're gonna start talking kind of like my personal relationship with him. Is there anything? Let me kind of skim here if anyone's had any questions about anything so far. Nothing really about what's going on. We've got some other questions. Yeah, the all of this is happening in the Gallery of Magic Discussions and Experimentations group. At that point, that was the group. I hadn't created my group yet, and Monier had not created his groups yet. Oh yeah, the Order of the Dark Arts. They also sometimes go by the Seventh Witch House. Um, so then back to the story. Then we got some other questions that are about other stuff. I'm not gonna like do my typical Q&A stuff. We're gonna do that next week. We're just gonna talk about Monier for this one. So where was I? All right. So what was kind of setting what was going on? Tristan and I. Well, Tristan actually, I think at this point was kind of fading out. He he had his own problems, and I'm not gonna get into all of that. But he was less enthusiastic and was posting less and less. So I was kind of the big fish in the pond, so to speak. And Monier kind of knew that, and he kind of knew that he needed to kiss up to me. And so we would talk, and he would always make all of these promises. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'll do this for you. I'll do this," and he was going to make me a priest, and he had the power to make people priests or something. He was going to make me a priest, and he was going to he was really into, for those who didn't know, he was really into pentacles and the Solomonic pentacles, which I was never into. And he was going to, make me all these pentacles, and he was going to make me all these servitors to help me for different things. And I got none of that. I think all in all, I think I managed to get, I think he made me 2 pentacles, and I believe I paid for them. But he kept making all of these promises to me, and then and he wouldn't ever let me pay for anything. That was a problem I had. He started teaching classes, and he had his Patreon, and I encouraged him to make his Patreon. And so he made his Patreon, and he started doing classes over on. He did a whole bunch of classes every week. It was crazy, his schedule. And I would be like, "Hey, I want to be in that course or whatever. Let me pay you." And he would be like, "Oh no, you can't. Maybe I'll just let you in." But then he'd never let me in, so I didn't get to be in any of the courses. And after a while, it began to really feel like he was. I couldn't tell if he was just forgetful or if he was trying to pacify me while actually keeping me at arm's length. And I really still don't know. I don't know one way or the other. And, but because of that, I never really got to be part of his community. And so I kind of ended up seeing things from a distance. He was very forgetful, and he was very busy. I cannot stress how busy this man was. He was teaching all these classes over on his Patreon. He was teaching classes on the weekends. I mean, he was for money, but he was still doing all this work. He was making pinnacles and selling them, and he was doing ritual work for people and curse removal, and I believe readings. And and one thing I do want to mention is I'm trying not to bring everyone into this. There are a lot of other people involved, but I'm not going to try to tell their story. This is I'm going to keep this focused on me and him. And sometimes I'll talk about other people come in, but by no means are we the only 2 people going on. Eden's doing her thing with the readings, and Arnold's doing stuff, and there's a whole bunch of other things happening. But trying to keep it focused. And so, but yeah, we were he kept, like I said, he was making promises. We were at one point. He's like, "We should write a book together. We're gonna write a book on the pinnacles together. I can give you all the information, and then you can write the book." And he talked about that for a while, and then it would go away, and then it would come back, but never got off the ground. And but then I never even got to take his pinnacle course, so I really don't. I don't have even the slightest information of all of his stuff. Because again, he would never actually, I made it into the Egyptian course, and I think the Metatron course. And honestly, I was not very impressed with either. I thought that he would cover different things. And the Egyptian one, it was fine, but it was kind of a beginner's. I thought we'd get more in-depth information from someone who is supposed to have had this long, ancient history. And that's something that's interesting. He would talk about this ancient lineage that he came from, and yet all of the stuff he's working with, he's using modern versions of it all. the pinnacles he's using, they came out of Mather's book. He didn't have like his own designs. He was using Mather's. And even Sarah Mastros has her own other versions of these pinnacles. So that was an interesting little thing. And then like the Camillas that he's making, he didn't make those. Some other guy, I mean, he was honest about it, but someone else was making those. And so there wasn't a whole lot new. Like a lot of the other stuff that he was doing came out of the PGM, and a lot of the other like stuff that was similar, but it wasn't from that, was from a book called Ancient Christian Magic that he had. So I don't know if he literally actually came from this long line. I saw no evidence of ancient magic. He did know a lot about magic, but I'm not seeing anything from an ancient source that you can't buy in a bookstore. Another point I want to bring up, and mainly for the accusations that I would ever try to steal his legacy, is that he and I did not agree on very much magic. He's very traditional, and as you know, I am not. And so, for me to, like, we just didn't agree. He literally believed he still had a very fundamentally Christian worldview that demons were fallen angels and were rebel angels, which I disagree with him on. He had that Christian worldview, which I gave up a long time ago, and I'm have much more of a hermetic, or really even now like my own. All right, sorry it's so late. It's afternoon here, but anyway, yeah, so yeah, we didn't actually agree on a whole lot, so there wasn't a whole lot we could have joined up together on. So, but things but still, I mean, I was doing my thing, he was doing his thing, and I ended up, creating the attunements, and I ended up creating my own store, and I created my own group, and he created his own group, and so kind of, I almost look at it as a spectrum. There was like, I would cross the Gallery of Magic discussions and experimentations group. There was kind of a spectrum of Monier on this side and me on the other, and people kind of gravitated that were interested in either of us. And when we were wrong, there were a lot of people who were just there for completely, other reasons. But the ones that were, like, they would and like there was some overlap, and at the time I thought we were way more overlapped than we actually were. There was a lot of people that would work with, that knew who I was and didn't know who he was, and people who worked with him and didn't know who I was. And it really was much more separate than I realized. So, okay, so now we have to talk about Tim and Shasta and the beginnings of the curses. So, at the same time, and kind of as we're getting to where now, this woman in the group named Shasta, she started a podcast, and she and I became pretty good friends. And I helped with the podcast, and I helped. I was on it several times and helped her get it off the ground, and then Monir got on the podcast, and Arnold got on it. Like bunch of people were on this podcast from the community, and it was really cool and fun. And I really liked Shasta, and my wife really liked Shasta. And then we, over in Monier's side of things, this guy named Tim became a moderator, and I was not deeply involved in what was going on over there, so I'm just going to kind of generalize here because I don't know the details, but I know he's a moderator, and I know that he was a big student of Monier's, and that he was really into the pentacles, and he started making his own. And I believe what happened was he started trying to innovate, and he was like making big altar plates that contained all of them, or all families of them with planets. I'm not exactly sure. Again, I'm not into the pentacles, and I just kind of stayed away from it all. But some drama started kind of rumbling over there about Tim, but around the same time, he was approaching me about working together on a book. He had lost his job, and he needed to make this magical thing work for him financially, and I was going to try to help him out. And initially, he came to me. He wanted to make a book out of my servitors, which was weird. And it's actually even weirder when we get into later. But that was initially what he came at me with, which was a red flag, but I ignored it, and I should have stuck with it. Anyway, long story short, I don't know what's real, and so I'm not going to repeat a bunch of false accusations or accusations that may have been false. But Tim and Monier fell out hard, and I know that Tim. Let me rephrase this. I was told that Tim posted the contents of Monier's course in the Gallery of Magic group, but I never saw it myself. But people I know and trust all said he did it, basically giving away the secret sauce. And so, who lost his job? Tim had lost his job as a teacher and was trying to make it as a magician. And so he came to me to ask for help. And around the same time, like very shortly, like within it seemed like 2 weeks, maybe a month, everything went down. Like I get this crazy call from Shasta, and she's like, "Monier just kicked Tim out of the group." Tim lost his job, not Monier. And then so Shasta's telling me Monier kicked Tim out of the group for no reason. He won't explain. I'm like, well, he can do that. A group is it's a dictatorship. You don't have to explain everything. It's just the way Facebook works. But suddenly, like, they were making this such a big deal, and it was like they started saying everything was Monier's fault, and anyway, I caught Tim in a lie. He lied to me. He said that he was an ordained to something rather, or he'd written somewhere to sell his pentacles that he was an ordained so-and-so. And I asked him about that. He goes, "No, I'm not ordained to anything except that Universal Life Church, but I wouldn't use that to sell anything." And I'm like, "But you say right here you do." And then after that, I was a Monier pawn, and I'd been brainwashed by Monier, and everything I said was just coming out. I was just a puppet for Monier at that point, as far as Shasta and Tim were concerned. And then they went on their podcast and they talked a bunch of shit about my magic and my servitors, specifically my servitors, the thing that he wanted to make a book out of. And my new book, The Filthy Grimoire, had just come out, which was based on servitors. And so it really pissed me off after helping get this podcast started that they would go and badmouth my stuff. And it's one thing to be critical or something, but they weren't critical. They were laughing about it, and it was a big joke. But I was her friend. I'd been in her house. Like I visited her and then I pulled all of my episodes from her show. And anyway, around this same time, people started to report that they were being cursed. And a lot of people, and it was all centered around Monier. And so people started, frankly, panicking. I mean, as you would if all of a sudden people start getting cursed. And Tim was painted to be the boogeyman. And I honestly, to this day, have no idea to what degree Tim was involved in this, and what came from other places, because readings were across the board. But yeah, I was off minding my own business, and Eden was like, "Hey, man, people are being cursed." Yeah. So yeah, Eden just popped up. Eden was she was kind of the one on the ground taking care of people, and like just really busting her ass trying um, to take care of this, to help people, and to figure out what was going on. And we didn't know what was happening, and honestly, it wasn't. I was real slow to react. I think a lot of us were slow to react because, um, again, it was happening on the other end of the community, and I don't think Eden and Monir realized to what degree I did not feel a part of that side of the community, and so I was a little slow getting involved. But so was Arnold. Arnold was even slower than I was, because after everything with Loyal, he didn't want to go through it again, and he put on the blinders, and I was pretty much the same way. I was like, oh no, not again, not this. But anyway, things got a little crazy there, and we did all start getting involved, and we started working on protections and trying to figure out what was going on. And readings were coming across all kinds of different things, and things got really panicky and paranoid there. And I'm trying to remember the order in which these things were happening. The theories came. I think initially, obviously, I think the first thoughts were Tim. But almost immediately something came up. It's like, no, Tim is a symptom, not the source. Someone is cursing Monier, but they can't hit Monier, so they're cursing his business. And the people like trying to hurt his business by cursing his people. And so initially, like, people were thinking, well, we were thinking maybe it was like Monier's family, since he's supposed to be giving away the family secrets. Something that came up a lot of people got the sense that some very like holy roller type person, someone very devout, who was offended that Monier maybe presented himself as a holy man of God, but was working with demons, or that kind of thing. Or they may have been Muslim, or we couldn't quite nail it down. But there was this sense of this this holier than thou attitude coming from whoever was doing this attacking, and that the attack had maybe triggered the drama with Tim, and then that had happened. So yes, particular people were being cursed. I'm not gonna list the names and go down through the list of people, but yes, people were being cursed on an individual level because of their association with Monier, and it got ugly. But things started getting weird. Like Monier came up one day. He's like, "Hey, I really feel like another author is doing this. Like he's like, I think the Gallery of Magic. I think Damon Brand might be behind this." And I'm like, I don't think Damon Brand is probably cursing his own fans. Like, that doesn't really work. So that kind of went away, but I always remembered that one. That kept in my head that it was odd that he went there. And so then he tried at a certain point. He got really focused on VK Jehannam. Who is a demonic or a left-hand path practitioner who has a website that's very popular, and he does clip-off self-initiations and stuff. And I don't have any reason to believe he even knew about the group. But I don't know him, and I don't know I'm not trying to say he did this. I'm actually using this as an example of how off the wall everything got. Because I have, but yeah, I think he was even trying to, like, at one point trying to tell Eden to, like, say that she had a reading saying it was from him when she wasn't getting that. But there was I remember a spider was a symbol that some people were reporting. But I think that we actually figured that out was coming from a guy that was being a vampire. Um, but yeah, Eden's confirming he asked her to give a false reading that it was him. Um, so around this time, my wife's grandmother died, and we went across the country to the funeral, and it was exhausting. It was emotionally exhausting, and we were in Texas, and we drove to rural Idaho, and with the dogs, we have two big pit bulls, which is always an exhausting thing to do all of that. And then after so long, she sent me back. Um, she was just I was basically just there pet sitting. I was staying at the hotel every day with the dogs while she did the family stuff. But there was, like, they had to go clean out the house, and they were doing a bunch of stuff. So she's like, you just need to go home, take the dogs and go home, and I'll fly back whenever we're done, however long it takes. So I came home, and like I said, I was exhausted. I was so just exhausted in every single way. And I got hit. A curse hit me. And so that's when I really got involved. And because at that point, because I don't need to get in the details because I don't need to give anyone information that they need to hit me. But I mean, not that I think they could, but I was just, the only reason it hit was because I was so just drained, and they hit me just at the right time when I was down. So, but I got hit and I got sick and I had to recover. And so I got involved in the war effort at that point, and kind of, we were still focused a lot on um, at Tim and stuff. But also at this point is when I finally kind of cracked the Enochian nut. I'm actually starting to put it in practice. and and this is when, I don't know. Anyway, this whole thing just kept going on and on and on, and eventually, like, the Shasta and Tim, because Tim joined her podcast at some point, like Shasta's podcast went off the air. They decided they were going to go, and this is going to make it funny. They were going to go start a cult. They were starting this organization where they were going to train people in spirituality and no, E.A. Coetting is, I'm sorry, I'm reading, this is from the totally off thing. This is what I'm reading. Someone saying E.A. Coetting is a good left-hand path source. He is not. He is not a good source anymore. He has gone off the deep end. And stay away from those forums. Too many people on my that are coming to me for their curse removals are getting hit from those forums. So so that their podcast goes off the air because they're going to go start their cult. And I'm saying cult, it was something else, but it was basically a cult. They were going to train people and they didn't know what the hell they were talking about. Anyway, it didn't end up happening. They didn't do it. And I think that they have quit everything altogether. I think he still sells stuff on Etsy, and it's fine, whatever. I'm it is what it is. But they, whenever they quit, Monir declared victory and was like, okay, I'm out. And we were like, huh? Okay. So, but the curses didn't stop, and they were still going. And this kind of all just kind of blurs together to me for like it was just cursing and cursing, and people were like, and it just was unending. And I think around that time was I moved. I started the moving process because we moved from Fort Worth to Reno to a rental, and then we moved from the rental to the house. So it was a lot of moving, and I was just kind of out of it for like a year. Just we were moving, and but during that time, my group started getting hit, and that's whenever like I changed the banner and put protections in the banner. How did I know that I got hit by a curse? Because I can feel energy, like, and it wasn't just getting sick. It was a very specific thing that. But yeah, I can feel energy, and I can feel when it's on me, and so that's how I know if it's something's a curse. Um, I can feel it, and it's that gross, heavy feeling. Like usually you're not aware of it until you're. I'm not aware of it until I realize it, and then like I can shake it off. I'm like, oh yeah, I can feel it, and it's like, huh. And but then usually I can just shake it off once I realize that it's happened. Then it goes away, and then I healed the thing using um, the Enochian healing. Actually, took care of it. Um, So yeah, at this time, Monir is getting like super busy. I think he started teaching a course at the college, and his business is starting to suffer for it. People are starting to complain that they're not getting their stuff that they've ordered. And around that time, he had a contest, and the reward was $500 worth of attunements from my store, which I agreed, and I gave the prize, but then he never paid it back, and so he was just starting to really like he'd always kind of been bad at keeping his word, but now he was like really getting bad. It wasn't just me; he was like following through with everybody, and so now we're going to get into the big thing. So I went. We went home for Texas to for Easter, and staying in a hotel, and like at 6 something in the morning my phone goes off. Someone's like calling me on Facebook, which no one calls me on Facebook. I mean, who does that without first saying, hey, can I call you or whatever? And I look at it, and it's someone. I can't remember the guy's name, but it was someone from the group, and I'm like, what the hell? So I message him. I'm like, what the hell, man? And he gets all angry at me. He just explodes at me, like, in text. It's like, Monier's gone missing, and I thought you would be able to do something about it. I'm like, what? So I'm on vacation, and I'm not vacation, but we're doing family stuff. And so I can't really deal with it. And I'm not really hearing much, but kind of what filters through is that like Monir and his girlfriend or fiance they had a fight, and things got really ugly, and um, he had to flee his home or something. And anyway, but I guess I don't know. I think he got on the chats. I wasn't in any of his chats, so I didn't hear it. I didn't from him. I was hearing it like third and fourth hand. And I kept getting so many different stories, and it was just all crazy sounding. The cartels were involved, and um, his girlfriend was involved in the cartels, and she was trying to kill him. And I don't know. It was nuts. And people somehow expected me to swoop in like Batman and save him. And he lives in Mexico. I don't know what they're thinking I'm going to be able to do. I'm not. I don't. I don't. Again, I don't. I don't know what people were thinking I was going to do. But yeah, that guy was so pissed at me for not like swooping in and saving Monier. Oh, um, so yeah. Okay, so you guys are talking about the rumor that Monier was cursing his own group members and customers. Uh, that is a rumor. It is one of the theories. I have not disproven it, nor have I proven it. I do not know. To this day, I do not know who was behind this cursing. I don't know if it was, um, and I hate to speculate because I don't want to point the finger at somebody and it be wrong. Um, so I'm not going to say that he did that. I don't know if he did that or not. He may have. I don't know. Someone else in that may have been doing it. I don't know. Um, I don't. I tend to think he didn't do it, but I don't know. By the end, I don't know. I realized by the end I did not know Monier. I do not. He's not who I thought he was, so I can't say. I do not know. So back to the story though. So Monier vanishes, and so I end up getting more involved in his into the community, and getting and people start making chats, and they're sticking me in because people keep making more and more chats because they're like, oh, there's spies in this chat. Tim has spies, and I'm like, I don't think Tim has spies, but whatever. Uh, but they kept making, and they started including me in these chats, and oh my god, these chats were insane. It was it was it was it was just so. Um, this is not a left hand path occult group. The name of the whole group was Divine Light. It was not. I mean, he did work with demons, but that doesn't mean he was a left hand path practitioner. But anyway, the people were, and I didn't realize to what degree. This is when things start. When like my eyes really started getting open. First off, like we had a guy. Not a guy. I'm sorry. We had a member named Amanda who uh, started calling me lineage and started calling Monir teacher. And I was really bothered by that. And I kept trying to tell her, don't do that. First off, I don't understand why you would call a person lineage. That's not a title. It's a line. It's stupid. It was wrong. Um, but she's calling him teacher, and no one like jumped on the bandwagon and started calling me lineage, thank God. But everyone started calling Monir teacher, and he didn't stop it, and that bothered me. And so again, those groups, and I start seeing like, oh my God, everyone calls him teacher, and everyone's like acting like he was going to save them, and people had been cursed, and they were wallowing in it, and that was the biggest thing that I kept trying to point out to people was like, look, guys, you're stuck in that mindset of I'm cursed. And even if the curse gets freed, you're still going to be cursed because you think you're cursed, and you're just constantly going on about being cursed. And you can't have that mindset. You have to feel, you have to believe that you are safe, that you are protected. Because if you believe you're cursed, you're just gonna manifest that yourself. You're gonna manifest your own misery. And And these people were just like, oh, so stuck in it. And it was sad. And I was so worried. Like, and I started trying to help. And this is when I'd just had my big like awakening moment. And I felt really strong and powerful. And I remember one time everyone's like, a bunch of people all at once like, Monier's about to get hit really hard. Like, I don't know why everyone knew it, but everyone knew that this big attack was coming. And so I was like, fine. And I stood in front of it and I took that hit and I was fine. And everyone just kind of reported, oh, something weird happened. That was fine. And, um, and so that's when I started getting the confidence to do the curse removals. And I tested it on these people. And I started going in and like working with people one-on-one. And I would like do the curse removal. And I remember very specifically this one woman who I did the curse removal, and 2 days later, suddenly they get the job they've been looking for, and something great happens with their daughter, and they're like, Monier, all the magic Monier did for me finally came through. And I'm like, well, thanks. You're welcome. And because like we've been working for like a week on trying to remove the curses and stuff from her. And I didn't just remove the curse, I bound the person that was cursing her. And because this was an outside thing, it wasn't just the usual craziness. And this would happen over and over again. Anything I would work with these people, and I started realizing I got enough good results. I realized, yes, the curse removals work, but none of them ever acknowledged that it was me that did it. It was all Monier. And which, I mean, it was annoying. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm human. I'm not above wanting a little bit of gratitude and respect. But that was really it. It's like, because like everyone in the groups basically treated me like I was just one of Monier's students, and that we had all were just like there because, you know, Monier was the great teacher. And I'm like, no, I'm not one of Monier's students. I've never really learned anything from Monier. We're just peers and friends, and I'm here to help. But like someone asked a question, I'd give them an answer, and they would treat me like I was just the lowest trash on earth because my answer was not something Monier would say. I would like give an answer of like, they were like, oh, well, that's watered down chaos magic. And I'd be like, okay, well, I mean, it's going to be watered down chaos magic for you if that's what you think, but you know, whatever. So yeah, I did not feel appreciated at all. And is that a little bit of my ego? Yeah, I'll admit it. Still human. I have a bit of an ego. But overall, and I see that we've got some of Amanda's peeps here, so that's fun. So yeah, so I'm in these groups, and like Amanda's in there, and a bunch of other hardcore people are in some of these groups. I leave a lot of the chats with just his people, and we're kind of more focused on like, I guess you'd say the more popular members and people that were all kind of already friendly with each other. For the most part, I was still kind of odd man out. And that's when the videos came up. This guy, I guess, was in contact with Monir's girlfriend, and she sent him videos. And the videos were obviously there to make him look bad. And they did. And it was heartbreaking. He was the main one. He was obviously incredibly high, and he was looking out the windows, and he was paranoid that people were out there. And he had, I don't remember what, like a big metal stick of some kind. I don't know if it was a club or if it was a golf club. Like this big metal pole that he was walking around with, and he was in his underwear, and he kept playing with his dick, and he's talking to her in Spanish, and I had someone translate it, and he's talking about hiring someone to kill her. And like, it was ugly and it was sad, and it really influenced a lot of people. And everyone suddenly in those groups and chats and stuff was like, "Oh, he's a drug addict," because it really looked like someone on meth who'd been awake for 3 weeks and was paranoid and seeing stuff. And that was my um, that was what I. It really looked like someone on meth. They later on would claim that she dosed him with ayahuasca against his knowledge because he did have some. He told me he had some, and he was actually going to try to send me some, but he never did because that was just another thing that he promised and didn't do. But so either way, he was high, but it looked like meth. It didn't look like ayahuasca. It looked like meth. Um, and then, so anyways, people started putting a bunch of stuff together, and he had like lost a lot of weight at one point, and they're like, "Oh, he didn't lose the weight by magic. He used the weight by meth." And everyone suddenly was like on the bandwagon of Monir is a horrible meth addict, and we need to get him help. We're still not trying to like treat him like he's a bad person. This happens to good people, but things started. That was kind of the direction people were going, including a lot of his hardcore followers who would later turn and come back and be like, "No, he was great." I'm sorry, I don't know who this Jeremiah person is. Please quit asking the same questions over and over again. Um, the It was sad. It was really, and then another video came out where he was he was trying to get out of a door. He was trying to hurry out of a door, and he was so scared. And it was like a horror movie. And he turned the camera, and she was running at him with a hammer. And he started to scream as she beat him with the hammer. And so it was horrible. Whatever was happening with him was horrible. And they were horrible to each other. I'm not going to sit here and say it was all her. I'm not going to say it was all him. They were horrible to each other. And it was just one of those relationships where they just needed to get away from each other. It was a bad scene all around. And but around all this other time, it was really starting. Like, this went on for like 6 months, and I was messaging him like pretty regular. In like I was going through all of these major life-changing experiences, and like one of them almost immediately was like, part of the vision was Monir. Monir was supposed to be a part of this. And so I kept messaging him, and he wouldn't answer. And like, so this is, I'll cover this real brief. So I went to prison. A lot of people, most people should know this. I went to prison. I was in prison for 10 years. And the thing that bothered me the most was the way that people, when they were done with you, they would not just write a letter and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to write you anymore. Bye-bye." They would just stop writing you. And then you'd keep writing them like, "Hey, what's going on?" And they would just ghost you, just vanish. And so that's like, bothers me deeply. That's like how you get to me. And Monir was not responding to my messages. Like, other people are getting responses occasionally, but I wasn't ever getting anything. And it really fucking broke my heart that, and I mean, he could have just said, "Look, man, I'm going down through it, but I'm here and I'll be back one day," or something, just something. But he never acknowledged anything. The videos were posted in where they were just DM'd to people in chats. They were never posted, just in private messages. Yeah, no, I would never post. I'm not. I wouldn't share. I mean, I feel bad just even talking about it. Like, just thinking about the videos, it's hard. It's hard. It, they were ugly. So I was really heartbroken. He ghosted me like that for so long, and then in the videos, I knew he was going through it, but it was still rough, and eventually I got pissed off, and a lot of people were angry by that point, and everyone was like kind of on the he's a drug addict and meth head, and Amanda Abbott was one of the people. She was just there with everybody else, even more so. She was angry at him and blaming him and his drug use and stuff. Anyway, one day he showed back up, and everything was just. He came back, and he explained a little bit, like that him and his girlfriend were having problems, and she had been using him for his money, and um, had never stopped seeing her baby's daddy, and had just been using him, and it was all fake, and there were cartels, and it was a wild, crazy story, and everyone's like, oh, okay, you're a teacher again, and everything was forgotten. No one ever brought up the drug use or anything ever again. He was back, and everything was great, and everyone loved him, and it was weird. And he never, but like when we finally talked, it was weird. He was, he didn't really talk very much about it, and he tried to, I told him how it hurt me that he didn't message me, and all he would say was, I didn't want to give anyone any information to contribute. I know everyone gossips, and I didn't want people gossiping. I'm like, well, you screwed that up. People were gossiping anyway. And then he tells me this. For about 30 minutes, he goes on telling me about how the Gallery of Magic is behind all of this, and they cursed him and his girlfriend and all of that. That's actually all the Gallery of Magic's fault. And he started listing examples, and it was all stuff aimed at me. That they were doing attunements, that they were doing hypnosis videos, but it was all, I'm like, yeah, that's me. They're competing with me. They're not competing with you. Like, I don't see how why would they be cursing you and not me? Why would they go after your people and not mine? And I don't know, it didn't make any sense. And then, yeah, he just bring up all of that, just the paranoia and the cursing, but he was super like, and I was like, look, man, like, you need to, something became very clear to me while you were gone, is that a cult of personality is forming around you, or has formed around you. And these people were lost without you, and they look to you as their savior. And you need to be real with these people and tell them that you're just a human being like they are. And he did not like that. He did not like that one bit. And he got very defensive. And yeah, he got very defensive about it. And I don't know, like, we just never quite clicked again. We talked a few times, but it was never the same. He was always very paranoid, and everyone was out to get him. And I get it, but at the same time, it's like, I felt like he rushed back into work, and I was trying to tell him he needed to take it slow. It's like, I get it, you need money, and I get it, you got all these back orders, but you also need to take care of yourself. So, I feel like I'm not conveying this very, very well. But he never apologized. That was a big thing for me. He never apologized. he had reasons and he had excuses, but he never acknowledged that he did anything wrong or that any of this was his fault. So around this time, like, there'd been this ongoing thing with Amanda. Um, she had put a warning on one of her posts saying, like, if anyone attacks me, then, you know, I'm going to do this and this to you. And I didn't like it. And I mentioned it in the in our moderator thing, and we didn't. No one really liked it, but we decided to let it slide. And I'd mentioned it to Eden, and Eden got mad at me for even, you know, she's like, you know, you're attacking the victim. She's been attacked, and she's just trying to warn people not to do that again. I was like, yeah, I get it, but I don't think that's the way to do it. Anyway, at the time, it didn't seem like that big a deal. Later on, it turned out like when Amanda started trying to accuse Eden of various things, and Eden was like, look, I defended you when, like, the mods were trying to say, you know, because of that thing you did, and it got, like, I think through this telling of the story, because she misunderstood and thought that, like, the moderators were accusing her of some of the attacks or something. And so anyway, we're talking about it. I came in, like, in the middle of the chat one time and hear it, and I misunderstood what they were talking about. And so I came up with, like, well, the only other moderator, it wouldn't have been me, and it wouldn't have been Arnaud. The only other moderator is Jean, because the story, by the time the story got there, it had been totally different from what what had happened. Like, Amanda's telling of the story was not the way that it had happened. It had gotten kind of twisted around. And so I didn't recognize that what we were initially talking about. And I was like, well, the only other person that could have been was Jean. And she had this long conversation with, like, Eden, where she was talking about, should she do something about it and all this. And, like, anyway, so that had happened. And then after Monier came back, and not everyone was like jumping on the Monier bandwagon. Like, some of us were really kind of disturbed by everything. And Amanda started, like, turning on people that were not fully on board with Monier. And she tried to use, she tried to say that Eden told her in a reading that Jean is the one that was trying to say she did it, and that Eden was trying to make her curse Jean, and it was, like, an innocent person, and Eden shouldn't have done that. And I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's not. And then she has screenshots, and I'm reading the screenshots. I'm like, that's not what Eden is saying. And let me tell you the real story, because this is me. You're like, it wasn't Jean, it was me. I'm the one. It was me. And she was like, she never understood. She didn't listen. She wouldn't listen. She doesn't ever listen. She only listens to herself. She believes what she believes. And if you don't if you don't agree with what she says, then you're wrong. Even if you're the one that was there and did it, you're still wrong. And so me and her fell out over that. Like, I was like, I'm not going to turn on Eden because you're making up a story. And it really felt like Amanda was trying to create this divide between us and Monier, and trying to carve out the cult, basically. All of this is happening in. You're asking if this is happening in the group, and my moderators aren't doing anything, because it's happening in private messages, where it's just like a few people in chats that we've created. A lot of the drama that happens behind the scenes and all of this stuff is happening in private chats where there might be 5 or 10, 20 people in a chat. So yeah, it's all behind the scenes. No one outside of the chats is going to be aware of what's going on. So, so anyway, it really, and then so she go and like at this time, Arnold and Amanda are friends, and they've been getting closer, and he doesn't want to get involved, and he sees this is going on, but then, so it's just all more drama, and I'm like, and it's like it's all centered on Monier. All of this drama for so long has been like, yeah, what is all of this about the semen retention, guys? This is just a weird conversation you guys are having. So anyway, no, it's not all of us are moderators. There's like 3 of us that are moderators. Anyway, so then we get back into anyway, basically lines are being drawn in the sand and stuff, and it's getting scary, and I do not want I don't like where this is going down. No, Monir was not dead at this point. He's still alive. But all of this stuff is starting to there's lines being drawn in the sand, and it's kind of ugly, and I see where it's starting to head, and I'm not liking it. And then I go to a trip to Chicago. All of this stuff always happens when I'm out of town. I don't know why. I'm in Chicago to hang out with my friend. My best friend lives in Chicago. I'm up there to see him. And when I'm there, I hear that Monier has chewed out one of his students for making talismans and not using his method. She's using my method, and she's working with Jaunty. And it has absolutely nothing to do with Monier whatsoever. And yet he threatens her that because she's making talismans not his way. And he's like, if you continue to do that, I'm going to curse you. And so I call him, or I don't call him, I send him a voice message. And I am heated, I'm hot, and I'm not holding much back. And I'm like, you cannot do that. Who the fuck do you think you are? You cannot threaten people for making talismans not your way. And he's like, whoa, man, Mercury RX is like coming on strong right now. And I was like, man, fuck you. It's not the goddamn planets. It's not the stars. It's you. You cannot do this. You are acting like a fucking cult leader, and you cannot do this. You need to step back and like evaluate stuff. I've been telling you what's going on, and you need to look at the community, look at where things are, and quit trying to be this thing you're not, and you definitely need to step back, and you cannot threaten people because they're not doing things your way. And he came back so pissed off, and he's like, you're the one that's always talking about starting a cult. I'm like, yeah, as a joke to remind myself that this is always a possibility. Like, it's a thing that we all need to be hyper aware of, because it happens, and it happens a lot. And I've seen it happen too many times already. And we don't need to fucking go there. And because it is a joke. It's a joke that I make on a regular basis, because it is something I am aware of, and it's something that I work hard to not do. Even when I do stuff like a prayer service, I'm like, I'm not special. You guys, I tell you guys all that time, I am not special. I'm not the one. So Um, I never really heard from him again after that. I eventually did send him a message apologizing, but I never really heard from him again. And my relationship with Amanda would continue to go downhill, and that whole thing. That's actually where the thing happened with the fight over. Um, Somewhere around that time is when that fight happened over the moderator thing with Amanda and Eden, and it because I was back home. Anyway, um, someone cursed me, and they didn't just curse me; they cursed my wife, and we were fighting, and we don't fight, and not it's one thing to hit me, it's another thing to hit my wife, and it's another thing to because she's like, you think I'm good at magic, like she's just naturally like a powerhouse. To be able to hit us both, it's insane. Not too many people could do that. And um, anyway, it was Monier. He Amanda ended up sharing like screenshots and stuff that confirmed it was him. So Monier cursed us, and we were gearing up for a real war. And Nameless Aeon, you need to fucking chill. Like right now is not the time. And so yeah, we were gearing up. It was about to go down, and then like the next day, I found out he died. And I'll just be honest. My first feeling was relief because the war wasn't going to happen, and I feel bad about that still. That was sorry. I moderated him. He's gone. Um, so yeah, Monir passed away at a very early age, at a surprising age. No, I had not done anything back to him. So I do not feel in any way that I had something to um, contribute to that. I was gearing up for the fight, but I hadn't started the fight. Um, but I do remember like, oh my god, what the fuck? It was so crazy. Um, I was People were talking about it. People messaged me about it, and so I was aware. And we all started messaging each other, and people were trying to ask and find. I was like, I'm gonna tell people, and so I posted about it, and like people didn't like it that I posted about it. They thought I did it too early, and maybe I did, but it is what it is. But I ended up being right there, so I guess that worked out. Um, I decided early on that we were just going to. I was going to forget about who he had become and just mourn my friend that he had been. And I wish that it could have stayed that way, but almost immediately, with zero provocation, Amanda starts trying to make these accusations that Eden and I are trying to steal his um, steal his legacy. I do not know what Monir died of. I anything I say is going to be a guess, and I don't want to just put out a guess. I don't know. I have no idea. I know there was an investigation and it came up natural causes. That's all I know. Um, and the thing is, it can be natural causes and still be magical. And I honestly, I don't know what actually killed him. I will say this much. I'm getting a little ahead of myself on the story, but I'll go ahead and jump to it. He appeared to my wife, not to me. He appeared to my wife, and as he's after he's dead, my wife is very much works with the dead a lot, and so it was more natural for her to see him, I guess. And he apologized, and she says he was radiant. He was an elevated spirit, and he had just got bogged down in all of this crazy bullshit, and um, and he died before it would have a deep impact on him. And so I don't know if how you want to interpret that, how we interpret it, just that in a way, he was saved from worse. But but yeah, while that's going on, the because like um, I mean, obviously he was young. He didn't have a lot of stuff set up as far as who was supposed to take over what. And even though he was having um, issues and everything, he had left Eden in charge as a moderator on his group, and he'd never promoted Amanda to moderator. And even though, so Amanda's trying to say that Eden was trying to take over the community and his stuff, and that I was going to take his courses and resell them as mine or something, and I don't know. And it's like, why would like he and I didn't agree on anything. It would be really weird if all of a sudden I became a traditionalist and was like, here, I'm going to work with Hebrew and Greek, and I'm suddenly going to do like Gnosticism, and Kabbalah. I mean, that's you guys know how I feel about that stuff. I mean, it's fine and it works, but um, it's not for me. It's not what I do. And well, okay, so yeah, Monier was not a full traditionalist, but he also worked. Everything he worked from was um, ceremonial magic, grimoire magic of some form, mixed with folk magic, Santeria and hoodoo. But um, he is way more on the traditional side. And if I started releasing that stuff, everyone would know what's up. So it was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous accusation. And if you're going to continue to try to make it seem like it was a rational accusation, then I will not be happy with you either, Gabriel, because it was not a rational accusation to make. And it was not a rational accusation to say that Eden was trying to take over. No one can take over what he did. No one had access to his Patreon except his family. And his family never approved of what he was doing. um, Sorry, we have a troll. I keep having to stop and deal with the troll. Anyway, it got ugly, but at the same time, like, it kept us where we couldn't be honest about everything because it would look like we were falling in like into what Amanda was saying, and so we had to make it very. We had to just be nice and friendly and like, and we had just be. I had to like, just swallow it and be like, oh, everything's um, everything was fine, everything was good, but it wasn't good. Like, the man attacked me and he attacked my wife, and people are constantly showing up in my group praising him. Like, oh, Monier's so great. And like, no, he wasn't. He had some good stuff. Don't get me wrong. He was a great person in a lot of ways, and I loved him. And but at the same time, he was willing to do that because someone convinced him, because I had the audacity to tell him that he shouldn't try to be a cult leader. And anyway, so that's. Oh yeah, so I also want to say that since I put the message up that I was going to be talking about Money today, multiple people have contacted me and told me that he would send them angry messages. He was very controlling. He would apparently sending like angry voice messages where he would yell at people was fairly common. I don't mind people praising his familiars and stuff. I mean, it shouldn't be on my group, but it's whenever people come on and they call him master teacher and stuff. It's like, nah, let's. So yeah, and Amanda, like, she made some very transphobic comments too, and that was the other problem. Like, a bunch of people were perfectly willing to go along with Amanda being very transphobic. That was not a deal breaker for them. Which, that's just gross. Come on, people. That's not what we're about here. Everything should be about we're trying to love each other, help each other, and we're, I mean, it's all through all these prayers I do. We are one. We are one. We are one with each other as we are one with the Mother and we are one with the Father. We are one. We should not be hating each other, and we should definitely not be hating each other just because someone chooses a different lifestyle or is different from us or believes something differently from us, and to tolerate that. And people kept giving the same response. Oh, well, we know Amanda's a potty mouth. It's like, that wasn't a potty mouth. She was hateful. She was hateful. She was making just the ugliest claims. So anyway, he a bunch of drama came out after he passed away, and it was really ugly, and it sucked, and people were concerned about. I mean, rightly concerned. Like, what about all of his teachings and stuff? Like, what is his legacy going to be? And that guy Adam shows up, and everyone's like, "Oh, cool! Adam's going to take care of it." And we haven't heard from him since, so I don't know. I mean, Adam's been around, but he's not someone I ever talked to. I don't really know him. But a bunch of people said he was trustworthy, but it ended the conversation. Everyone seemed to be okay with it. It's so nice that you make it easy to spot you. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Monir's stuff. I don't know how that's ever going to work out. I think some people have some of it, But the thing is, no one can control what anyone does with it anyway. Like, I'm not saying that people should do anything one way or the other, but I mean, people were trying to say we were going to steal it. It's like people can do whatever they want with it, and there's nothing I can say or do about it. They can upload it to YouTube, and I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. Do I believe Monier cursed his materials? No, I doubt it. I mean, I really don't feel like Monier was out to curse people. And I mean, again, when it gets down to it, I don't know who was behind all of the cursing. There's always theories and stuff, and I don't know to what degree anyone was behind it. I mean, I've heard the rumors that he was doing it, but it seems stupid to curse your own business. Like, that didn't make any sense. So, and underall, I think that Monir was a good person. I do, like I said, my wife saw him, and he was a radiant, highly enlightened soul. But he was human, and he fell into some bad stuff and listened to the wrong people, and it can happen to anybody. And mainly, I just want people to realize that he is he's human. And yeah, as someone's saying here, he fell short. We all fall short. I fall short. Everyone falls short. And it's fine to miss him and to love him. And I'm not trying to take that from anyone. I just want people to understand why it's complicated, why my feelings are complicated, why my relationship with his legacy is complicated. And it's just been weighing on me, like, all of this. Because, yeah, I mean, I've seen people like, this is crazy. It is crazy. This is a crazy story. Like, this doesn't happen in the real world, right? Like, how does this happen? So, and it's just been torture to, like, keep all of this bottled up and not be able to express the reality of it. You're right. And even saying that her feelings are complicated. And because it's very complicated. Because deep down, I love him. I still love him. I'll always love him. It's hard not to love him. He was such a charismatic, enthusiastic guy. And I don't. Someone's talking about Adam, and so I don't know. I don't know about what's going on with him and what he might have said. I don't know. Again, I'm trying not to talk about things that I don't know anything about. This is obviously a much larger story that's touched a lot of other people, and I'm trying to just talk about what I know and how it impacted me. But that's really about it. I do want to let you know that Amanda is still out there. She's got her little core group of followers that still believe her crap. It's only about 10 or 15, 20 people, something like that. But they're still very angry and bitter, and they say horrible things, and they pop up and say horrible things occasionally. They're still out there, and I'm sure they're going to try to curse me for this. Maybe not them, but somebody. I don't know. That's just life. Like, for me, as a open occultist, it just, people take shots at you. Does anybody have any final questions about this? I've been talking for a really long time, and I guess I do want to close the whole thing just by saying that, yeah, I'm not trying to ruin your memory of him or anything like that. Your experience and your relationship with him is your own, and your love for him is nothing I say should be able to bother or touch that. And again, I love him too, but so yeah. Oh God, here he comes again. I keep hitting the wrong button. So yeah, I appreciate everyone for coming in. Like this was a lot and a lot of just talking about stuff, and it's been going on for 2.5 hours now. Thank you, Gabriel. I appreciate that. So it doesn't look like anyone's got really any questions. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll do the final blessing. If I can find it. It's got moved. Oh, yeah. Stay away from the Order of the Dark Arts. God, I hope I don't get cease and desist letters. I've gotten those before from people. I do not have any courses or classes on Patreon, at least not yet. Yeah, rest in peace, Monier. Okay, he that is the first, sustain us. She that is the end, beautify us. Angels of Lord, guard us from all torment. Comfort us in discord and light our way to supreme life. God of righteousness, pour down love, pleasure, healing, glory, gold, peace, and the secret joy of God. Mother of wisdom, pour down divine knowledge upon us. He that sits on the holy throne, crown us and enthrone us in power. Move us to be mighty and rejoice in the power of creation. In the name of the Father, the Mother, and the Holy Children. Elgaha gelava, herbs gay. Nenokad dia iad, brings getol mir. Lioriax gi etol os. Od opir gi insidiabis. Beovid pampir bliorga kirasahi kaniliman kakam. Bustir adkir intharzi. Ada iaida. Mozad ananael pampir iadnamad. Mirge, idiogo, momar ad velocoris pax, ge amicals, zakam, ge de omicals, ad kiran, ge micals, de kaas, paid. All right, guys, I will see you again next week, same place, and at 2 p.m. Bye-bye.